in Lakotei Sichos, Chelik Lamed Aleph, on the pasuk that talks about the miraculous situation with the donkey, that he says that it was the same chamoir, the same donkey that Avraham Avinu saddled for the Akedah, and Moshe Rabbeinu's donkey to go out of Mitzrayim was the same donkey, and in a similar vein, Moshiach is going to ride on the same donkey as well. So the Rebbe spoke about different things in the Rashi, where Rashi speaks about it, and he compares it to Lashonis of the Medrash, and so on. Now we're going to learn about how the Rebbe analyzes this b'pnimis and yonim. We're going to start on the second column, Oy Zayin. The Rebbe says, "Miyena shel Torah Pirish Rashi," from the wine of Torah that's in Pirish Rashi. It's brought down that in Rashi there is the inner teachings of the Torah known as the wine of Torah. It's brought down about Rashi and Chumash. Al pi mashin is bar le'el, according to what the Rebbe spoke about earlier in the Sicha. Nimtze sheyesh chiluk bei chamor d'Avraham v'chamor d'Moshe v'chamor shel Moshiach. There's a difference between the donkey of Avraham, the donkey of Moshe Rabbeinu, and the donkey of Melech HaMashiach. B'chamor shel Avraham nemar shechavash Avraham is chamor. In the donkey of Avraham it says that Avraham Avinu saddled his donkey. B'chamor shel Moshe it says vayarkive malach chamor. It says that Moshe Rabbeinu took his family and had them ride, made his family ride on the donkey. Ve'ilu b'chamor shel Moshiach Rashi, as opposed to the donkey of Moshiach, Rashi says, Asid Melech HaMashiach lihigolis olav, that in the future the King Moshiach is going to be revealed upon it. Though in the pasuk it says he rides on the donkey. Now the Rebbe has spoken about this before, the difference between three different levels of dealing with the physical. One is in a way that the saddling of the donkey, that Avraham Avinu just put the wood and the other things that he needed for the Akedah on the donkey. That's one level, that it's only his possessions were on the donkey. Another, and what it says, he made his wife and children ride on the donkey. So that's a second level. And the third level is Moshiach himself is going to ride on the donkey. That's spoken about in the different Sicha that I believe we may have learned already. Here, the Rebbe is going to emphasize a little bit something different. Saddling, riding, and revealing on the donkey is three different types of relationships with the donkey, meaning indicating the physical. The difference of these expressions of saddling, making them ride, and revealed upon them, this is appropriate to and corresponding to three stages and levels in drawing down holiness into the world. In the three eras or periods of Avraham, Moshe Rabbeinu, and the King Moshiach. The explanation of this matter is it's explained in Mefarshim. That a donkey, the word donkey, is related to materialism. So it indicates the materialism of the body, and not just the body, my personal body, but in the big picture, the materialism and coarseness of the world in general. Like it's known, the explanation of Baal Shem Tov on the pasuk, when you will see the donkey of your enemy, that we say, what's the donkey referring to in the explanation of Baal Shem Tov? The koyal choymer aguf, it's referring to the materialistic body. That's therefore the general connection between the idea of the redemption and specifically a donkey. Whether it is, for this reason, both Moshe Rabbeinu, who's called the first Redeemer, Melech HaMashiach, and also the King Mashiach, Goyal Achron, the final Redeemer, Yiyud Roichvim al Chamoir will both ride on a donkey because it has a specific connection and significance in regards to the Geula. Ki toichna pnimi va'ikri shal ha'geula is galus kedushasi is baruch, because the main content and the primary idea of the redemption is the revelation of the Eibishter's holiness. Shebishvil zeh, to be able to reveal God's holiness, tzarech liyes shviras v'zichuch u'birur ha'chaymer. There needs to be, and we're going to explain it, it's different stages of breaking, purifying and refining of the material being. Hein chaymer ha'guf shel ish v'isha d'Yisrael, both the materiality, the physicality of the body of every single Jewish man and woman, befrat, that's in the specifics and the micro, v'hein chumri yisraelim b'chlal, and this also has to be done in the materiality of the general world as a whole. And the expression of the Alter Rebbe, whose yahrzeit in Chavdal Tevis, this is this Friday, which is when we actually learn this pasuk in Chitas. The Sefer Tanya, that he writes in Tanya, the ultimate purpose of the creation of the world will be when Moshiach comes. Then the physicality, the materialism of the body and the world will become purified. And they, the physical body and the world, will be able to receive the revelation of God's light. In the effect that man has in refining, purifying the materialism of the body, there's three types of ways how it is done. And we're going to explain it, that these are going to reflect in the three stages of Avraham, Moshe Rabbeinu, and Moshiach. Aleph, one way is Ikra Avidas Shel Adam Hilegalus Asay Nishmasay Shi Behelim Vehester B'Chaymer Aguf. The main avoid of a person is to reveal the light of his neshama, that it's concealed and covered in the materialism of the body. Ki ayer per Adam yivoled, because a person is born like a wild donkey. By nature, he follows the desires of his body. His work is to affect in himself, not to follow after his desires, but to be involved in Torah mitzvahs. When a person is like negating their body and just revealing their neshama, the avoid is in a way of they're conquering their body, they're controlling the body. The person rules over his body and his animal soul. He subjugates the materialism of his body in such a manner that the materialism of his body should not conceal and hide the light of his neshama. That is one type of way of dealing with the materialism of the body. Beis, l'maylam is a second thing which is higher than this. It's the avoida to purify the materialism of the body itself. That the body itself should become a servant of Hashem. In other words, that the body itself changes from its materialistic state. Not that we're doing the revelation of godliness despite the body and like contrary to the body, but we're bringing the body along. How does that happen? That's through changing the person's natural character traits, that he should not want and desire in the desires of the body. The Rebbe says in the footnote, the difference between the two is in the way how we used to work on the body before Mashiach's times, before the Baal Shem Tov's times, to after the Baal Shem Tov's times. Before the Baal Shem Tov's times, there was an approach, we learned about this in the Sicha last week, to break the body, to use fasts and afflictions and all different types of things, and that was a derech and avodas Hashem, because it wasn't about bringing the body along, it was like cracking open the shell, like a clipper that has to be removed to be able to get to the fruit inside, to be able to get to the neshama. Came the Baal Shem Tov and said that in this day and age, we cannot handle it, and therefore, how are we supposed to do it? We're supposed to do it not by breaking the body, not by allowing the body to collapse, but you have to assist it, you have to refine it and purify it. So this is the two ways that he's talking about up till now. Top of the second column of this page, but in refining and purifying the materialism of the body itself, there are two types of ways, two approaches. Aleph, birur v'zichuch haguf habom etzal oir neshama, refining and purifying the body that comes as a result of the neshama, of the light of the neshama. The hainu, this means as follows: his devotion to holy matters is in such great power that the great light of holiness that's the neshama, it also influences his body to become clarified, refined, and purified. According to this approach, the holiness of the person is the holiness of his neshama. But the body, because it becomes refined, because it becomes purified, now becomes a vessel for the light of the neshama. But it's mainly about bringing the light of the neshama full force, that like the body can't help but be pulled along in the light of the neshama. Beis, another approach of refining the body, not just breaking it, is zichuch haguf mitzad atzmai, refining the guf, the body on its own. The person works with his body until the body on its own becomes transformed into an object of holiness. In other words, it's not just that the light of the neshama is so powerful that it overwhelms the body and the body is like pulled into it, but the body itself becomes appreciative on its own of that great power of Kedusha and Elokus and so on. And the Rebbe explains that you could compare these three levels that we just now spoke about in the footnote. He says that the first level, where it's about like not taking the body in consideration whatsoever, that's the avoid of Torah mitzvahs. He does Torah mitzvahs and he just makes sure that the body should not interfere. Then there's the avodah b'chol masechel shem shemayim, that a person works, does his own work in the world, but he's doing it for the sake of heaven. But it's still, the body is like being harnessed in service of something else. Then there's b'chol d'rachecha de'eyu, then all your matters you know him, meaning your matters, meaning bodily matters, the matters of the body itself. Through that he knows Hashem. It's in the body itself he appreciates Hashem. In the physicality of the world he appreciates Hashem. That's seeing like the godliness and bring the body along in the godliness. This is all we were talking about in the micro, in the person's body. Now he's going to broaden it in the world. 3 paragraphs in the bottom, or 4 paragraphs in the bottom. Just like in the avoid of every single individual, that there's these 3 types of ways of dealing with his body. So too, it's in the general materialism of the world. There are 3 manners, 3 types of ways in refining and purifying the materialism. Through that, Hashem's holiness becomes revealed in the world. Aleph, one approach is Hachnas ubitul gases v'chumrias ha'olam haminas hashras hakdusha, sublimating and nullifying the coarseness and the materialism of the world that prevents the kedusha residing there. Shebitul v'shviras hachumrias noisim makom sheyagil kedusha ba'olam. The nullification and the breaking of the materialism gives room and allows place for the revelation of holiness in the world. That's one stage. Beis, a second type of way of dealing with the physicality of the world, that the physicality of the world becomes refined and purified until the physicality itself becomes now a vessel for the revelation of the light of holiness. Gimel, a third level is Tachlis hashlemus bebirur v'zichuch ha'olam, the ultimate perfection in refining and purifying the world. Sha'agashmias atzmot is kaddish, that the physicality itself should become sanctified and holy. When does that happen on the whole entire world, not just some particular items? Of course, we have now, you make a mezuzah that becomes holy, etc., etc., but you don't have it on the entire world. That the entire world should be in such a way that it should be all entirely holy. That will be in the future, in the world to come. When will be fulfilled the promise that the glory of Hashem will become revealed. And all flesh will see together that the mouth of Hashem spoke. In other words, this will all be evident in the world. This will be the nature of the very flesh when Moshiach comes. She is dachech at sheyebicholtei shel habasar mitzad atzmai liros kipi Hashem diber. That will become so refined and so purified that will be in the capability of the flesh itself on its own to see that the mouth of Hashem spoke. Not that the neshama sees godliness, and because of the neshama seeing godliness, the body is like pulled along. Not that way at all. The flesh itself, meaning just like my physical eye cannot present see the physical aspect of the world, and you don't need like special types of glasses and special types of lenses to see the physicality of the world. The same thing when Mashiach comes. It says, "V'ro kol basar yachtav," that all flesh will see together that Hashem made the world. We'll see beyond the physicality of the world. We'll see the godliness of the world. Why? Because the flesh and the world will be on a totally different level. It'll be of a different kind of revelation of godliness. Not that the neshama is the one that's imparting it, but the very nature of the chamoir, the very nature of the chumrius, of the materialism is changed. Now he's going to connect this with the three things that we said about Avraham, Moshe, and Moshiach, that all of them had the donkey, but by Avraham it says he saddled his donkey. By Moshe Rabbeinu he said he made him ride on the donkey. And by Mashiach it says in the Lashon of Rashi over there that Asid Melech HaMashiach Li'golis Olav, that Mashiach will become revealed upon it, even though the pasuk, like we said, just says Roichev, but the Rashi adds those words, the Medrash adds those words, and Mashiach has become, I think it's Rashi adds those words, Mashiach is going to become revealed upon it. So he says in Ches, V'zeh ha'hefresh min shlosh satkufas d'Avraham, Moshe, Mashiach. This is the difference between the three periods of Avraham Avinu, Moshe Rabbeinu, Mashiach. B'mei Avraham, in the days of Avraham, kasher loy nitne Torah adayin, since the Torah was not yet given, adayin loy nizbarer v'nizdache chumris oilam. Therefore, the materialism was not yet refined and purified. Pulas Avraham hoisa levatel ulachnia v'lishber chumris oilam. the effect of Avraham was to nullify, to sublimate, subjugate, and to break the materialism of the world, so it shouldn't disturb the light of Kedusha, like we said before. To get to the fruit that's inside a nut, for example, you need to break the shell. Otherwise, it stands in your way. It doesn't allow you to get to the fruit that's inside. That's the exact expression of Rashi that he says, that's the donkey that Avram saddled. The expression of saddling, the saddling of the donkey, that indicates it's not part of the donkey's participation. It's the idea of subjugating and sublimating the materialism. Just like when a person puts a saddle on an animal, on a horse, on a donkey, they are forcing it to follow and to do what it has to do with carrying, etc., the load, and so on and so forth. And there's actually an interesting medrash that's brought down that the Chazal say from the day that the world was created, there was no person that saddled his donkey till Avraham Avinu came. It's a very interesting thing, because why would what's the big deal about saddling a donkey? Because Avraham Avinu was the first one that took on the world. So therefore, in the physical expression of that, Avraham Avinu was the first one to saddle a donkey, because saddling a donkey means putting the donkey in its place, putting the materialism in its place. Last paragraph, the first column. B'mei Moshe la'achrei gemar v'zichuch b'kura barzel. The days of Moshe, after the conclusion and the purification of the iron furnace, the Golus Mitzrayim. It says that Mitzrayim was a purification process for the Yidden to be able to be ready to receive the Torah, and that's why Avraham Avinu was given a choice: should your children go through Gehenna, or should your children go through Mitzrayim? Because this was all, even though there was no sin involved, but just like Gehenna is a purification process, so the neshama should be able to enter Gan Eden, so to Golus and Mitzrayim is also a purification process. The Golus Mitzrayim refined and purified the Eden through the difficulty of the enslavement with the mortar and bricks. The Alter Rebbe says in Torah, when the Yidden became purified, so also the world, by extension, became purified as well, the physicality, the materialism. Because what happens to the Yidden impacts the entire world. Like it says, also the world was placed in the heart of man. So therefore, through Golus Mitzrayim, the entire world, so it came to a state where the physicality of it should be a vessel for the light of Kedusha. Not just that you're breaking the physicality, you have to saddle the donkey, but it actually becomes a vessel, top of the second column. That's where it says by Moshe, that he made them ride upon the donkey. The idea of saddling the donkey, breaking through the materialism, that was already accomplished through Avraham Avinu. Now there's already the capability and the potential to ride on the donkey. That the light of holiness should be able to be drawn down within the materialism of the world. It should already be able to permeate the physicality and the materialism of the world. That's the idea of riding on it. In other words, the world, it becomes now something that is being, literally, it's a container, it's a vessel, it's something that you're riding on. then it was still that he made them ride upon the donkey. Is that the light of holiness is riding and shining upon the materialism. The actual revelation of holiness doesn't relate to the chamor, to the materialism, but it's actually the person riding upon it. As opposed to the refinement and purification of the physicality, materialism of the world when Moshiach comes, Mashiach all of it in such a way that King Moshiach will in the future become revealed upon him, meaning that it's also through it. The revelation of the light of Mashiach will be through the donkey itself, that the materialism will be so purified until he himself will refine and reveal the light of Kedusha in the world, just like we said before, that the physical flesh, the physical eyes will see Kedusha of the Eibishter. Now, the Rebbe is going to connect it with what I mentioned before that we learned in other sichos about what Avraham Avinu placed on his donkey, what Moshe placed on his donkey, and what Moshiach will place on his donkey. And the reference, in the footnotes, he actually says, the Sicha in Chelik Aleph that speaks about it. According to this, we can explain the inner reason for another difference between the three donkeys of Avraham, Moshe, and Moshiach. By Avraham Avinu, it doesn't say that he himself rode on the donkey. Umashma, and the indication when you read the psukim and so on, it comes out that the donkey was just used to carry the wood and the knife or other things that they needed, which is also very common. You go visit Eretz Yisrael or these type of countries where they still have donkeys around. Not necessarily as a person riding on the donkey. The person leads the donkey and they load all types of, packages or whatever that they need to transport on the donkey. As opposed to Avraham Avinu and Yitzchak, and also those that accompany him at the beginning, the two youths, meaning Yishmael and Eliezer, they did not ride on the donkey, they went by foot. So they were like removed from the donkey. They didn't actually engage with the donkey. By Moshe it says, he made them ride on the donkey, his wife and his children. It doesn't say he himself rode upon him. So even though there was a closer connection to Moshe Rabbeinu, it was already his family, but he himself was still not engaged with the donkey. As opposed to Melech Mashiach, the pasuk that Rashi actually brings down from the Navi is that he actually is riding on a donkey. According to what we explained previously, we say the reason for this is in the times of Avraham Avinu, when the world was not yet refined and not yet purified, the materialism of the world, there was still no connection between Avraham himself as well as Yitzchak with the donkey. Eitzel Moshe by Moshe Rabbeinu when the world was already purified and physicality was purified, materialism was purified just by the Yidden going through Galus Mitzrayim, in such a way that the materialism of the world could be a vessel for the light of Kedusha. Here, So he had his wife and children ride upon the donkey. Since the materialism of the donkey itself did not yet become sanctified, the physicality itself only allowed for holiness to permeate it. The effect of the purification was only in the fact that became a vessel for the light of holiness, that shines from above. Therefore, there was no connection yet between the donkey and Moshe Rabbeinu himself. That's why it was only an extension of Moshe Rabbeinu. His family rode on the donkey. Only in the future, when Moshiach comes, when the materialism of the world itself will reveal the light of Kedusha. Not just it will become revealed in it. It is a revelation of Kedusha. Asad Melech HaMashiach Li Golos Love King Mashiach will eventually, or in the future, will become revealed upon it. Hare Melech HaMashiach Atzma Yirkav Olav, the King Mashiach himself will ride upon it. Ki Oz Tizgala, because then it will become revealed. Uba'oifen, the Kamayim Liyamachasim, in such a way that it will be like the waters covering the sea. That's going to be the ultimate type of revelation. We are submerged in godliness. Just like the seabed is covered and submerged in the water, so to when Mashiach comes, the light of Kedusha will have the whole entire physicality of the world submerged in it. And we will see that it will become revealed how the true being and existence of every creation is the true being and the true existence of Hashem. And then the expression of the Mittler Rebbe and a Maimer, that then will become revealed, the created Yesh, the created existence, who Chadim Yesh Amiti is one with the true Yesh, and because it will become revealed how it's one with the true Yesh, therefore we will have that ultimate type of revelation of godliness in the world. In a similar vein, he says in a footnote earlier that there is the famous thing that speaks about how, when talking about this donkey, it speaks about there's different, brought down a medrash. It's the same donkey that happened in the times of, that was created already by Hashemoshes, between, in the creation, when there was the creation, there was all types of unusual things that were created in Friday by twilight. So the Rebbe says in a footnote that Rashi leaves that out. Why does Rashi leave it out? So earlier in the Sicha he talks about it a little bit more about why Rashi leaves it out. But according to the point that we're saying over here, since the emphasis over here is about the effect that we are having on this world, something that was created during twilight is nothing about the effect in the world. So therefore, the first thing that Rashi talks about is Avraham Avinu, because Avraham Avinu affected the world, then Moshe Rabbeinu further, and then Moshiach in the ultimate way. Therefore, Rashi leaves out what it says in this Medrash, Pirkei Rabbi Lazar, about the Chamoir being created Ben Hashemoshes during twilight.